What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video on my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over some basketball games for Saturday, April 5th, 2025. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know who I'm picking in these games, you'll have to join my Patreon. My picks are always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the pinned comment in this video below in the comment section. I wish you guys the best luck on all your picks for this day for these games. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We're going to be looking at the Final Four, college basketball, men's college basketball, Final Four. We got all number 1 seeds: Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston. Right now, Florida is a 2.5-point favorite over Auburn, and Duke is a 5.5-point favorite over Houston. So I'm going to go over some narratives for each of these teams. I'm going to show you both sides of each game, and I'm actually going to give one clue for all 4 teams to appear on Monday's championship game. Just kind of a future look. Houston and Duke, they share the same number that can get them to Monday's game. Florida and Auburn, they don't share the same number, but in Gematria, there's a connection there between the number. Now, before we get started, though, real quick, let's look at my results so far for the tournament. I've made 32 picks for the NCAA tournament. Bring up a bigger screen here. 32 picks so far made this year's tournament, 24 wins, 8 losses for a 75% win ratio. I did the first 4 games beginning before the tournament started, so that they call it the first 4. I went 2-0 on Tuesday, 1-1 on Wednesday. And then for the first round on Thursday and Friday, 2-2 on Thursday, 3-1 on Friday. Second round on Saturday and Sunday, 2-2 on Saturday, 3-1 on Sunday. And then for the Thursday Sweet 16, I went 4-0. Friday Sweet 16, I went 3-1. Saturday Elite 8, I went 2-0. Sunday Elite 8, I went 2-0. Puts me at that 24 wins, 8 losses. Let's go ahead and jump into the final 4 games here and go over some numbers for you. If you're new here, I have my game set up. On this side of the screen, I use what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers, numbers specific to the game, or numbers specific to the game, if I said that in a weird way. If you haven't seen my basketball setup for college basketball, this is how I have it set up. I usually have the road team up top. I have the head-to-head record in the middle. And then I have the home team at the bottom. But because this is at a neutral court, I just go based off of how ESPN has it set up. So Auburn's on bottom, Florida's on top, Duke's on bottom, Houston's on top. And so the information that I have here is I'll have the team's current season record. I'll have the team's NCAA tournament record as a team overall. I'll have any type of win or losing streak that they may be on. And then I'll have the coach's record. Overall and specific for the school, head-to-head all time, as well as specific if they've played any games for this season. And at the bottom is the same thing for the home team, their season record, their NCAA tourney record, any type of winning streak that they may be on, and then their coach's record. And that's just kind of the numbers I've been using for this tournament. Daily numbers, game numbers. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. First game. Florida versus Auburn. I always start with the home team, which is going to be Auburn in this scenario, which since they're on bottom, and then I'll go over numbers for the road team. So we're going to start off. I'll show you some numbers for Auburn to win this game, and then I'll show you numbers for Florida to win this game. So if Auburn was going to win this game, some things that I would point to is I'd start off by saying that this is the number 1 seed versus the number 1 seed. So the 1 and the 1, kind of like a number 11. And these two teams have already played each other this season, and Florida had won that first game. So Auburn could get some revenge here and become 1-1 like the 1 seed versus the 1 seed. They could become 1-1 head-to-head against Florida for the season with the win to advance into the championship game. Mathematically speaking, the number 11, 1-1, it looks like an 11. The number 11 is the 5th prime number. And if Auburn were to get some revenge on Florida and even the score 1-1 head-to-head against for the season, Auburn would sit on 5 losses for the season as they pick up their 5th win in a row to go with. So they'd sit on 5 losses as they get their 5th win in a row. And then they would give Florida their 5th loss for the season. Again, the 1 seed versus the 1 seed like an 11. Auburn could become 1-1 like an 11 head-to-head against Florida for the season. 11 mathematically is the 5th prime number. Auburn would sit on 5 losses for the season as they get their 5th win in a row, as they give Florida their 5th loss for the season. Another thing for Auburn that can favor them in this game is this will be a day with 34 date numerology on the Gregorian. So Florida could become 34-5 for a season record with the loss on a day with 34 date numerology. Their coach would get his 34th loss as a coach specifically for Florida to go with, while he gets his 70th loss all time for his career. And if you write out the number 70, it sums to the number 34. One connection that I would give for Auburn to play on the championship day. So if we move forward on the daily number side, on this side right here, the game is going to be on Monday, which is going to be April 7th. It's going to be the 97th day of the Gregorian year. It's also going to be the 9th day of the 7th month for the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. 97. So there's 2 97 connections here, or a 9 and a 7. What could give Auburn an advantage to play on this day would be their name, Auburn. More specifically, the full name, the college and the mascot. I'll show you guys. Auburn Tigers. Let me copy paste. Auburn Tigers. If you put in Auburn Tigers, it sums to 79. 79 is just a reflection of 97. And so the championship game will be on the 9th day of the 7th month. 7997. Auburn Tigers sums to 79. The 97th day of the Gregorian, which is just a reflection of 79. So that would be kind of a look ahead for Auburn if they were to make it into the final championship game. That could be a clue for them. Like I said, I'm going to give a clue for each team here. But also with that 79, remember we talked about the number 70. The word 70 sums to 34. It also sums to 79. So that could be another reason why Florida's coach gets his 70th loss. It happened against Auburn Tigers, which sums to 79, as they sit on 34 wins for the season, as he gets his 34th loss as a coach specifically for Florida. But yeah, that's what I would put for Auburn to win this game. Let's go ahead and look at Florida. What would it look like for Florida to win this game? So if Florida was going to win this game, one of the first things that I would point to again is the number 11. It's the 1 seed Florida versus the 1 seed Auburn, like an 11. And Florida can get their 11th win in a row to advance into the finals. The number 1 seed versus the number 1 seed. It's going to be a number 1 seed versus the number 1 seed in the championship game. And Florida with the win could go in with on 11 game winning streak. So that's something that they can definitely be favored for. Also, something to that's been following Florida is their tournament games and their coaches win. Florida, this is going to be their 75th NCAA tourney game as a team, and Florida coach can get his 75th win as a coach specifically for Florida. Now, this has been happening since the start of the tournament. In the 74th NCAA tourney game, he got his 74th win. In the 73rd NCAA tourney game, he got his 73rd win. In fact, Florida got their 33rd win for the season in their 73rd NCAA tourney game, as he became 73-33 for a record. as a coach for Florida. So that pattern has been following Florida since the start of the tournament, and it could follow them right into the championship game. Because again, Florida, if they win this game in their 75th NCAA tournament game as a team, and their coach gets the 75th win, well, their next game is going to be their 76th NCAA tournament game and the championship, and he can just get a 76th win there. So that could be the future look ahead Florida game or Florida connection to be in the championship game. Now, if this were to happen, Florida, 75, if you write it out, 75 sums to number 53. And in Florida's 75th NCAA tourney game as a team, they can get their 53rd NCAA tourney win as a team, as their coach gets the 75th win as a coach for Florida. Florida would get their 35th win for the season to go with 35, 53. They're just reflections of each other. On top of that, it'll be the 39th game of the season for Florida as they get their 35th win. And I don't know if you know about these numbers here, but 39 and 35 are identical in all four base ciphers. So they have a connection there as well. And that's kind of what I would put for this game here for Florida and Auburn. I've shown you both sides here of why they can win based on the numbers, and I've given you a future clue connected to the date of the championship game that can favor both Auburn and or Florida. Again, Auburn Tigers sums to 79. Championship game will be played on the 97th day, the 9th day of the 7th month for the Hebrew, which is just a reflection. Or Florida can continue to follow the pattern that they've had been since the start of the tournament. Their 75th tourney game, coach can get a 75th win, advance to the championship. 76th NCAA tourney game, get it 76th. It's been taking place since the start of the tournament has started. All right, let's move on to the next game.
Sorry to interrupt this video, you guys, but I need a huge favor from you. Can you go ahead and like this video and leave a comment below on who you think's going to win? It's going to help with the YouTube algorithm. It's going to help grow my channel. I really appreciate you guys being here. Let's go ahead and get back into the video.
Houston versus Duke. Houston versus Duke. We're going to start off with Duke as the home team. I'm going to give you some numbers for Duke, and then I'm also going to give you a future connection for them to win it all. And then also Houston, a connection to be in the championship game. And it's literally the same number. They share the same number for the same connection that can get them to the championship game. So it'll be interesting to see which one actually takes place. And I will be making a pick on these games. So starting with Duke, if Duke was going to win this game, what's interesting about Duke is they got the March Madness connection in the Elite Eight. So they come into this game with a season record of 35-3. 35-3. So they have 35 wins, 3 losses for the season. Mathematically speaking, 353 is the 71st prime number. Well, they got this win in their last game in the Elite Eight. March Madness, if I spell it correctly. March Madness, if you write it out, sums to 71. So they're currently 35-3 for the season. 353, the 71st prime number. They got themselves a little March Madness clue there in the Elite Eight game. Now, and then also the 7-1. The day of this game against Houston, it's going to be the 7th day of the first month for the Hebrew religious side of the calendar, like 71. So in the Elite Eight game, they became 35-3. 35-3, the 71st prime number. Write out March Madness, sums to 71. And now this game against Houston takes place on the 7th day of the first month for the Hebrew religious side of the calendar. The reason why I find this interesting is that if Duke wins this game and they go on to the championship and they win the championship, they would get their 16th win in a row in this game, and then in the championship they would get their 17th win in a row for the season. 17 is just a reflection of 71. So this could be a clue for Duke to potentially win it all. And this isn't the clue that actually they share with Houston. If Duke went on to win it all, they would become 36-3 to head into the championship game. Then in the championship game, they would get their 37th win, 37-3. Well, mathematically speaking, 37-3, 373 is the 74th prime number, and the championship game will be taking place on April 7th, written 4/7 or 7/4. And that 74 number is the number that they share with the Houston Cougars, and I'll get to that when I'm talking about Houston. But so far, this is all a look ahead for Duke to not only be in the championship game, but Duke to win the championship. They can literally finish the season 70 or 37-3, like 373, the 74th prime on April 7th, 4/7 or 7/4. They would get their 17th win in a row, which is just a reflection of 71. Now, for this particular game on this particular day in the Final Four, if Duke was going to win, I'd go right back to kind of what I was talking about with the Florida and Auburn game. This is the number 1 seed Duke versus the number 1 seed Houston. Kind of like the number 11. If Houston loses this game, they would get their 31st loss as a team for the NCAA tournament. 31 is the 11th prime number. Duke, their coach, is coaching his 111th game for his career. If Duke win, they get their 127th NCAA tournament win as a team. Mathematically speaking, 127 is the 31st prime number. 31 mathematically is the 11th prime number. And then, of course, it'll be a day with 34 date numerology on the Gregorian. Houston would sit on 34 wins for the season with the loss, in similar fashion to what could happen to Florida as well. Now, if we would switch gears to Houston, what would it look like for Houston to win this game? Well, let's just go back to the 74 connection. Houston Cougars sums to 74. If Houston Cougars beat Duke and head into the championship game on April 7th, written 4/7 or 7/4, this is probably why. If Duke beats Houston to head into the championship game to become 37-3 for the season, the 74th prime number, and they did it over the Houston Cougars, the 74 is also probably why. So both of these teams have a 74 connection that will get them to the championship game being on 4/7 or 7/4. It can go either way with that one. Now, for Houston to win this game in the Final Four, some numbers that would help them on this particular day is also the 11 connection. The 1 seed Houston versus the 1 seed Duke, like an 11. And Houston can become 1-1 all-time head-to-head against Duke with the win, like an 11. Now, I looked all over for the head-to-head record. I almost didn't believe that they have only played one time against each other, but I went to the Duke website, their school website, and I punched in on their opponents for basketball, and it showed Houston, and it only showed them playing one time. So unless there's something different that I can't find, please put it in the comments below and leave a link to where you're getting the information so we can, verify it. But yeah, Houston, the 1 seed, Duke, the 1 seed. Houston can get revenge against Duke and become 1-1 against them all time, head to head with the win. And Duke's coach's 111th game for his career. It can go that way. Now, we already talked about how in this game, 39-35, this is Houston's 39th game. This is Duke's 39th game. Houston can get their 35th win for the season. 39 and 35 are identical in all 4 base ciphers. I've already written that out for you guys to show you. That could be in favor for Houston. On top of that, both of them sum to 61. Houston Cougars sums to 61. 61, the 18th prime number. It being a day with 18 date numerology on the Gregorian, as well as 34. 34 written out sums to 61, the 18th prime. And Houston can get their 18th win in a row to advance into the championship game. So, and also this game will be taking place on April 5th, written 4/5. Houston can get their 45th win, NCAA tournament win as a team to go along with it. So Houston definitely has some numbers to advance. Duke definitely has some numbers to advance. Similar numbers back to back for each other to advance and to win the championship. That 74 number that can literally go for either side, Houston or Duke. Interesting games for these two, Florida, Auburn, Houston, Duke. Should be a good weekend on Saturday. But hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you insight to these games. Get you started on a decode, ask you a decode that you may already have. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate the support. Definitely click the like button, add a comment below. Let me know who you think is going to win, and share your thoughts on it. And I've given a clue for every single team: Florida, Auburn, Houston, Duke. I've given a numerical clue for each one to either be in the championship game and potentially win the championship game. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which number 1 seed is facing the other number 1 seed. It's going to be 1-1 either way. But yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. I wish you guys the best of luck. Hopefully you win all the money in the world. Till next time.